We want to call the meeting to order. I want to welcome everyone to this, the Thursday, March 31st, 2022 budget hearing of the Fairfield Bay Board of Trustees. Board of Trustees. I want to welcome everyone here. I want to make sure everyone understands this is a kind of a simple agenda we will have. We'll go through this. We have audience participation. If anyone wants to say anything, they can. And once that's closed, then it's simply a discussion and review from then on of the Board of Trustees. So we'll start this with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. If we stand, please turn off your cell phones. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Yeah, I have to make sure mine is down. Okay, we take the roll call. Mr. Brinker?
Trustee Nugent.
Present.
Trustee Brinker, President. Trustee Morrison.
Present.
Trustee Amos.
Present.
Chairman Manow.
Present.
In the room is John Coffey, McKenzie, Stephanie Brown, Kathy Mendez, and Matt Guest. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Also, we have Mr. Cruz is also in the back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
He was hiding from it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll go right to roll call. We have a Walter Meyer?
Meyer.
Come up here, please. When you get up, you'll see you'll have to push it and there's a little green button goes on.
My name is Walter Meyer. I live at 1074 Parkway Lane. I was asked to come up and speak today in reference to the canopy that we've been asking for some time. As you know, it's been in the budget many times over the last 10 years. We used to have a cloth canopy there, but about the time that Mr. Coffey came, we lost it in one of the hurricanes when they were unable to take it down. And since then, we've been asking to replace it with something a little bit more substantial, and if possible with a concrete base. The reason for the concrete base is to act as a ballast for the awning so that it wouldn't blow away in storms. I handed to you a copy of just one I found online, which runs about $5,000 for an 18 by 30. That would be enough for up to six picnic tables. The advantage of being able to do that would allow us to use that area more. And the area we're talking about specifically is the area just inside the gate when you walk into Pool 2. It's the grassed area to your left with the two driveway gates. And it's a big green area there. And we propose putting a concrete slab down that would be the same elevation as the decking, so there would be no hindrance for handicapped. The estimates that I found online, it seemed pretty easy to come up with a building for under $5,000 or $6,000 that would do exactly what we need without spending an exorbitant amount of money. Of course, the concrete would be more, and I don't claim to know the changed prices today on concrete, but I got to believe that we probably could do that for $10,000 easily. Some of the reasons that we think it's important is, although many people criticize us and said that people at Pool 2 just go there to sunbathe, it's really the center of our social community of the people who live in the area of Pool 2 and 3. So that the people who live in the neighboring blocks tend to get together every day at the pool and spend time together. And like, even after they're done swimming, they come out and they sit around the pool and talk to socialize with each other. That's an important part of our life as we're getting older, as there's less things we can do. The other realization is that we have many young families now coming into the bay. And the way we're set up at the pool is not really enhancing for families, because tables only have 4 chairs. We don't even have enough chairs at Pool 2 for 4 chairs at a table, which is totally inadequate even when we have the youth night. So we're asking that you guys seriously consider putting this canopy back into the budget. The money was put in twice and was pulled out for the beach. And I think in all fairness, with all the other monies that we spent on the golf course and the beach, and I know you guys spent a lot of money in upgrading Pool 2, and it's absolutely beautiful. You did an excellent job, and I compliment you on that. But I think it'd be really important to do something like this, because it gives people the ability to sit together. We often like to have things like a morning, well, one of our pool hosts just left recently, and they had a morning breakfast for him, which is donuts and coffee and stuff. So it gives us a place to gather. There is electric out there already, so that's not a problem, because all we really need is 110 volts for a coffee pot or a small amplifier. The other use of that building would include using it for the music group that meets there every Tuesday now, under the trees right outside Pool 2. And that would give them a little covering of the bed, you know, in the weather that gets too hot, and also when we get a little bit of drizzle and stuff. So I don't want to take a lot of your time,
Okay.
but I wanted to make the point that you clearly understand that how important the fellowship part of people coming together and being a part of the community. Because they really are like family groups. We have many people who take care of other seniors who are lost their wives or husbands and stuff, and they go out of their way to take them to doctor visits and everything. So that's part of the relationships that are built. Besides the opportunity to be able to play checkers or chess, some of them play Scrabble and stuff. So that's basically what we're asking for, and I don't think it's an unreasonable request, and I hope you really consider it in light of the extra monies that we are getting in the maintenance fee from the new homeowners. It doesn't seem unreasonable to put aside $15,000 of that in the next year or two to get it done. Thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you. Mike, is it Abdul?
Yes.
Abdul?
Yes. Actually, I think I may be at the wrong meeting, but
Okay.
they told me it was a regular board meeting. And there was an incident last Saturday at the pool where a person who everybody in the neighborhood knows and loves. But I was shocked and appalled that somebody had the authority for 4 people. The story that I got was that four women were upset with the way this lady was dancing. And, you know, it's actually appalling to me that anybody, if they don't like the way she's dancing, then they should just leave, okay? So I know that this is I know this is a budget meeting and this has absolutely nothing to do with it, but
Right.
I just thought this was a regular board meeting. And
No.
I've lived in the Bay only 9 weeks, but it was just appalling, like I said, it was appalling to me that somebody was removed for,
Okay, just so you understand, they weren't removed by Barefoot Bay, just so you know that.
what were they removed?
Okay, we're not exactly sure, but they were not removed by Barefoot Bay. We want to make sure people understand that.
Okay,
So
well-
that's just a rumor, and so it's really not
Oh,
something
okay, well,
we're
no, I
going to address.
understand, yes, you know, the internet's got a way of
Absolutely,
spinning it.
but just because someone
Attorneys-
says something out there doesn't mean it's true. So they were not removed by a staff from Barefoot Bay.
Well, that's good to know.
Okay, so just make sure we all know that.
Okay, well, that's good to know. So,
Thank you.
all right, thank you very much.
You bet. Any other audience participation? Any other audience, even if you didn't fill out a ticket? No? Hearing no other audience participation, we're gonna, oh, I'm sorry, Elaine couldn't resist.
I couldn't. Elaine Van Bershaw, 1090 Parkway Lane. I just wanted to encourage, I know it's somewhere in the budget there, lighting under the oaks, the electricity that's gonna be installed. I just would like to encourage that. We're using that area more frequently. And this year for sure, we're going to be having a Christmas bazaar market. And it will be the evening of our Christmas parade and such, and we will be using that area with lights and light that area for Christmas. So just encouragement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As we go on, you'll find out, we've defunded some things, and Under the Oaks was one of the things that we considered. Okay, anyone else on anticipation? Hearing none, audience participation is closed. Mr. Coffey, where do we go from here? Review of the proposed budget.
I think, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'll review what
Yep.
has happened since the last meeting. At the March 14th meeting, 3 projects were defunded: the Pool 3 asphalt, the Pool 3 parking lot asphalting and retention pond, the carpeting, the miniature golf course, and the electrical outlets under the oaks east of Building A. Subsequent to, there was also a request by the chairman to look into the cost of increasing our employee-only health insurance to 100%. As you can see, we're currently at 85%. We estimate EBRD's cost of that next year would be just under $15,000 to take it to 100%, assuming we only have the 29 of 35 people currently budgeted. Electing coverage next year will be 76,000. The other aspects of the number's been adjusted, deal with the 19th-hole kitchen and the walk-in projects that were put out for RFP and evaluation committee. The committee's recommendation that'll be on the April 8th EOT meeting is to award contract and then approve a change order taking out the lounge walk-in cooler. And so, for simplicity of looking at the list of projects, I've deleted out the expenditure for the lounge walk-in project, the separate walk-in cooler project at 19th hole, and renamed the 19th hole kitchen project the kitchen and walk-in cooler freezer project, and put the appropriate amount of money in there. What that does in the big picture, and what I gave the trustees, and up on the screen, when you see green, it doesn't view that well far away, but that's things that have changed. The net effect of that is that we're projecting to spend more of our fund balance by the end of this year and just a little bit more next year, and that's largely because we have a budget that's project budget for the 19th hole lounge and 19th hole walk-in cooler of combined 184, and I apologize for the surprise, but I got the proposed change order, and instead of reducing from the 344, it's going up to 360. I'll have the details in the agenda tomorrow for you to see. So that little additional is not factored into this, but that's where we're at, Mr. Chairman. My suggestion is that the board contemplate the canopy. What the gentleman requested is the third version of that square and the purpose of the canopy. So staff will do whatever you want, but we need some specifics, because when Mr. Wheaton first proposed it to me, it was outside the gates to hide from the lightning, and then I've heard it to the west of the gates for the band, and now it's being proposed inside the gate. The board may want to review the outstanding projects to see if there's anything else we can defund. We do anticipate within the next 30 days having the pay and comp study in, which would be right before the May 3rd and May 5th scheduled budget workshops. My recommendation is, keep your final decisions until you have a chance to see that pay and comp plan, because that might give you some idea of how aggressive to address the compression issue.
Thanks, sir. At the last meeting, we talked about, everyone has their different priorities, et cetera, and they should look at that and consider them and let John know, or be prepared to talk about what they are. I think that's what we should do right now, and just go from there, and you can all go through individually, and And if someone else wants to start, it's fine, otherwise I will start, either way. If not, okay, I just gonna give you my philosophy, I guess, on the budget. First of all, we only have, what are we talking, 400? Not even that, right? Almost,
A little over 300,000.
First of all, we have some projects that are, I think are very, very important to us, that we make sure that we complete. Things like the 19th hole kitchen, the walk-in cooler, the renovations to the 19th hole. Those things are going to cost, as we all know, more than what we budgeted for. And so when we defunded the mini golf, the pavilion, the cooler at the lounge and the outlets, that helped that. However, I really believe that there are other things we have to make sure are done, or make sure are completed before we even attempt any other projects. It's kind of like a philosophy of, okay, if we've got $100,000 left, we don't have to spend it. There are things that we are going to do in the 2022 budget, things like the heater building coming down, moving that to the outside, canopy over the lounge area, the mobile kitchen coming in, the outside bar. All of those to me are priority projects, and they're probably all going to cost a lot more money than what we anticipate right now. So my philosophy and my take on this whole thing is going to be that we complete the projects that we have, the 19th hole, the coolers, the renovation of the sinks, the lounge things, the heater building, the canopy, the mobile kitchen comes in, the outside bar comes in. We keep those $172,000 worth of maintenance items that we discussed last time. We do those, they're simply maintenance items. If we're going to look at anything else, very important to this is the walk-in cooler at the lounge. And if you're looking at a budget item that we want to stick somewhere else, that's a project there that, as Kathy has said, is liable to fall down at any time and be a workman's comp issue. And so we took it out of the budget because it's 130 or 139 or whatever that amount was. So it's an item that if we've got extra money somewhere, we should be putting it aside because that's something we should tackle next somewhere. I know people would like to have the canopy. I'm not in favor of putting the canopy up at Pool 2. We discussed it before. I was on here before in the budget when it was on there and taken out. I'm not in favor of bringing any new projects in. There are some things we're gonna have to do just to protect some homeowner properties that may or may not cost us some money along the 17th hole for those, put bollards up or whatever we're gonna do. Those are things we have to do, and so they're not budgeted either this year or next year. But my concept right now is that we complete all the projects we have going here. If we have some extra money, we should be setting it aside or holding it to see if we can add that cooler next year, if we do have enough money, that walk-in cooler at the lounge, and I'm just not in favor of any new projects. Next, that's my take. Mr. Nugent.
My take would be really focused on three things, and that's not necessarily the priorities, or the priority of what I'm going to say. Number one, I think we need to look at recruitment and retention for staff. I think our pay is low. We're losing staff because our pay is low. So I think the important thing is to wait until Evergreen comes forward with the information, because I think in the end, it's going to cost us some money. Number two is our community is getting old, 50 years as a matter of fact. I believe a lot of the infrastructure has either been neglected or overlooked. I think we need to look at infrastructure. And third, I think we need to look at things that are going to provide additional revenue. Additional revenue would be the renovation of the 19th hole kitchens, where they're able to produce quality product, more efficiency, which translates into generating more revenue. So those are the three of what I would consider top priorities when we're talking about the budget.
Thank you. And just to make sure, when I mention my things, staff has always been mine, but I'm waiting for the report to come back. That's why I asked for the information about what we even pay for insurance and family insurance for our staff. I talked to Steph as an example, and we talked about insurances and how many people we have, and would it make a difference to our full-timers if we added an increase in family insurance. For instance, I think we're paying 50 or 40 or what is it? 40% now that we pay for a family to add the insurance for their family. To me, again, I'm from a different category of looking at this, but I think that should be improved. I think that should be increased. I agree with Jim that I think we have to do whatever we can to retain staff. That's number one in a priority. But the other, I was talking about were projects, but you're right, we have to wait for that evergreen report. We have to look at some of these things, whether we even increase the individual percentage or whether we increase the family percentage to see if that would help. I think that's something we have to look at. Mr. Brinker.
I agree with both of you, and I don't think I have to go over everything that you said and Trustee Nugent, because I agree, so I'm on that. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Morrissey.
Well, it seems to be a consensus of agreement because of the money situation. I would like to see just the gentleman that's standing up here today to get his wishes and desires for his school buddies. But I hope that we can get it in there, but if not, I hate to say it. Wait till next year, but,
And I don't, I understand that's it's a need and people would like to have that too. I mean, I've had this for 3 years on the board now, since we had it in, took it out, had it in, took it out. And it is something we could look at. All I'm saying right now is that before we even spend another $15 or $20 or $30,000, we need to be trying to find $139,000 to put that cooler in. And so if I'm gonna have 30,000 that I have available in my estimation, I'm gonna be holding that to see if we can somehow get that walk-in cooler in even next year in the budget after that.
Yeah,
That's my only point.
the walk-in cooler and the whole, trying to get my thoughts together on this, it's very difficult to understand how all these renovations that are going on. Is it because they're all breaking down, or they're old, they're ready to go? Or is it a necessity? Walk-in coolers, how are we doing it now? With them the way they are. I mean, is it imperative that we have to do this kind of spending money, a lot of money we don't know we're gonna have?
Absolutely, absolutely, we need to
Yeah.
spend money. Mike, if you go in that kitchen, it's appalling. I don't even know how they produce, chicken wings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, if we can improve the efficiency, we can improve the quality, with that, it translates to increase in revenue.
And it improves the service, the service of that restaurant type atmosphere we have there tremendously. Now, you're talking about two different things, remember, Mike. We're talking about the walk-in cooler at the 19th hole, which is part of the whole plan. That has to be put in. We need that there. We're gonna move sinks and things into the old cooler and do all that stuff. The cooler we're talking about not funding right now is at the lounge. And Kathy, you can jump in even, tell us about the cooler at the lounge. I mean, I know we still have one there, but what is that condition? And I know we took it out, but again, we wanna look at getting it back at some point.
The walk-in cooler is very old. We have replaced the compressor and evaporator a number of years ago. The floor is falling in, and they put a steel floor in a couple of years ago, but that'll need to be done again because it's old. So it's
And we
just a
think
matter
we-
of time that it will need to be replaced.
Yeah, we think we can get through for another year or what it might be, but again, we're hoping we get through. And so if that's on the back burner, again, is what I'm saying, and from my view of this, I'm going to try to take whatever money I can find at some point to put it away for that walk-in cooler.
And the other issue with the walk-in cooler, just like everything else, including the 19th hole, is that the more services we provide, the more product we need, and the less space that the more space we need for kegs and beer and food.
Mike, anything else?
Well, like I said, we subsidize the 19th hole now.
Do we
We
subsidize?
subsidize it.
Well, we subsidize all the amenities if needed, so I'm not sure what we're doing there with food and services. Are we breaking even, or we're 20, 30,000? I don't remember.
Historically, the 19th hole requires a subsidy to operate during the summer because we don't have the volume of business in the
Yeah,
summer.
we have it open early in the morning in the summer when literally no one's around, and it's for breakfast people and stuff like that, which costs us money. Mr. Amos?
Yeah, well, I agree with a lot of the stuff things talked about here. The completion of the projects we have, we need to complete them. I also agree that we need to wait on the Evergreen report. We spent some money on that to get that report. I don't see discussing a lot of things about that without the report yet, which is coming soon, so it'll be, what, the next meeting or so that we can discuss, you know, the compensation and things like that. I'm not sure here, I tend to keep getting confused on this, because you're talking about the money we need now, and are we still doing the 2022 budget, or are we here to do the 2023?
No, we're talking 2023, but we're talking about whether or not there are going to be costs in 2022 that we may have to take out of fund balance, et cetera, and can you then make this up in fund balance?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Okay, I understand that, and, I mean, we're talking into 2023 about things we want to put on our budget, and I do believe we have to complete these projects, because they're very necessary. We have to keep up the infrastructure, like Jim said there, and, because there are things that are breaking down, we have to keep this up. But one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to lose track of adding the small things into this budget. We need small things also in the budget. There's a lot of people in here. There's a lot of people that want some things, not a whole lot of money. We need to make room for some of these things, like a canopy or the electrical outlets, things like that are, it's not a necessity, but it sure would be nice to have. And that's one of the things that we need to do, I think, in these budget things, is work out a healthy balance between stuff that we have to have, and we still need to have some things thrown in there to satisfy a lot of people on things that we need, the things that we would like to have that aren't really a lot of money. I mean, we're not talking about building a small building over there or anything. You're looking at probably under 20,000 with concrete, et cetera. So I think that needs to go in the budget again, since it's been removed. If things happen next year, we come up to a spot where, you know, the bridge caves in or something down there, you need money, well, I'm sure the small things will go again. But I think we need to keep putting these kind of things in the budget and try to get them through. That's enough.
If again, the simplest way, and again, we're not passing a budget today, Mr. Coffey, but again, I think we should know right now whether we're going to put certain things in, correct? And so you know, we're talking about the things, we're talking about priorities, we're talking about the philosophy of the budget and what we're trying to do and what we're looking at long range. How, my example is this heater building, you know, we take that down and we don't know how much more that is going to cost us, since we put it in a budget and budgeted, but it's gotta be done. We gotta do those things. So that was my idea, is I'm not spending money until I get all the rest of this stuff done. However, you have the thing of the canopy. I'm more than happy to have us right now put this up and say, we vote on it, whether or not a canopy is to be included in a budget. Because we can't just keep going week to week, month to month, and just talking about it. Let's decide. I'm more than willing to vote on this kind of an item.
Kind of vote you want, just a consensus, or?
No, we're gonna put things in the budget, we're gonna vote on them.
If we put the canopy in the budget, we can always defund it.
Yeah, but that, you know, the third or fourth time you start doing that, that's getting a little old too, so it's, you know.
I know. I really think everything will hinge upon the Evergreen report.
Yeah.
Because that may come in as a huge dollar amount to get us competitive.
And again, we talk about under the oaks, you know, I'm just not in favor of either one of those, but if you wanna try to put them in the budget, say we are, then let's vote on them. It's just that simple.
And you need to do that today in lieu of waiting for the Evergreen report next week.
Well, either way you want, John,
I
what do you
think we
think?
should wait.
I think.
Either way, I guess, we can.
I think we need to a rush to put something in there, because we're not finalizing this thing.
No,
today.
but I guess we talk about this canopy, for instance, every single meeting. You know, well, okay, at some point, let's decide whether or not we're putting a canopy in a budget. I don't need 100 people to walk in here and say they need a canopy, because I'd have 100 come over from pool 3 and say, why are they getting a canopy? So that's not what I'm looking for. We're gonna make a decision on our own of what we think should be in a budget based on how we're presenting the budget for next year. So,
Want to do that, I'm in favor of putting it in the budget.
so do we wait, do we make a motion, or what do you wanna do?
I'm in favor of waiting.
I would like to wait.
Wait?
I would,
till the much-
I would
next
prefer
budget
to
hearing?
wait to find out how much this Evergreen
Okay, that's
report's
fine.
gonna be before we start
That's
throwing
fine.
things in or throwing things out.
Absolutely, that is fine, that is fine. No, that's a very logical way to look at it, yeah. Is that okay? Consensus, we're gonna wait, John. No,
Maybe we can ask Mackenzie to give him a call to find out where the issues
like a bulldog,
Mackenzie.
just like a bulldog, you can.
Yeah.
Mr. Coffey, the floor is yours. I'm, you know,
If everybody is good at holding this pattern, say we just adjourn the meeting and wait till the 3rd
I'm
to,
fine. Does that sound good? We just wait for this report to come on, next budget hearing, and go from there. Kathy, Matt, anything you want to throw in? Ernie, anything? No, we're not putting any new greens in, no. Okay.
Yeah, I think you need to, myself, I think you need to wait, because otherwise we're just sitting here with a wish list.
Sure, that's fine. Okay, does anyone make a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion.
Mr. Amos, seconded by Mr. Morrissey. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
are.
Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.